Do you like comic books? Do you have any favorite characters? Well, in this issue, I'm going to be talking about my two favorite comic book characters. One from DC and one from Marvel. How's it going, everybody? Shaun here. Welcome to issue 3 of the Comic Corner. Like I stated previously, I will be talking about my two favorite characters, one from DC and one from Marvel. Now, I will state that I have grown a little fond of a few other characters there in the Marvel and DC universes, but there are still two in particular that I enjoy reading, and I'm going to be talking about them in this video. So the first character I would like to mention is Batman. As you can see, I'm wearing my Batman Arkham t-shirt here, as you can see. I don't exactly remember how old I was when I first started enjoying, like, the Batman franchise. I was very young, I think, because I think I was, like, in kindergarten when I first started liking Batman, because that was around the time when Batman Returns came out. For some reason, I just started liking Batman at that age when Batman Returns came out. I remember the merchandise, you know, seeing all the different characters, Batman, Penguin, Catwoman. I didn't get to see the movie, of course, because I was too young at the time. I also remember when they premiered the Batman Forever movie. That's, of course, with the characters of Two-Face and Riddler. Then later on, we got Batman and Robin. Never really got a chance to read the comics, okay? Because I wasn't really reading comics at the time because I was in school. I remember I found a box of my dad's old comics out in the garage. And I'm like, really? This is actually kind of cool. I was like, hey, Dad, shouldn't we look and see if they still have comics? And he's like, yeah, let's go check it out. So we went to this little newsstand, and lo and behold, there were comics from different companies, mostly Marvel and DC, and probably Dark Horse and other ones. And they did have a Batman comic. This is it, right here. Batman Gotham Adventures, issue 42. Now, yes, this is my very first Batman comic, but, yes, this is my very first comic book ever. I thought I lost this, and I recently found it, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, this is my very first comic book. So I hold this one in high esteem, not just because of the story, but because of just being a part of my history as not only my first Batman comic, but my very first comic book ever. Now, the story for this particular comic is actually unique because he's not fighting a character. In fact, he doesn't really fight anybody in this one. He's rescuing people from burning buildings. And they're all being lit because basically it's kind of like arson. And, well, it's not like, it is arson because somebody's destroying them all. After I got this one, I was just hooked with this series, and I got like the last few issues. And I remember when they issued the last issue of the Batman Gotham Adventures, I was like, oh great, that's it. You know, I thought that was going to be it. Well, no, because later on, they released a new series called The Batman. Now, that was like when I was in my early teens. And I was like, hey, this is actually a pretty cool one. They started releasing this new series, which was called Batman Strikes, which is based off the WB series, and I was hooked to this one. I got a bunch of these issues. In fact, I had the first 10, like, each one individually, and I really like this series a lot. I mean, it is a different approach to Batman. They redesigned a lot of the characters. Joker was definitely a lot different for this series. This series was very interesting for the time, and I really enjoyed it. It was actually a fun series. I think it ran for 5 seasons. I think it was in season 3, they introduced Batgirl and Commissioner Gordon, and then it was in season 4, they introduced Robin, and at the very end of that season, they introduced Martian Manhunter. That's when the joining started, and then the rest of the 5th season was basically Batman meeting the rest of the Justice League. Now, what was really bizarre was that they didn't have Wonder Woman, which, yeah, I don't know why they didn't add Wonder Woman to it. I will have to admit that I do enjoy the animated series, but the actual series that I did enjoy, and I still enjoy to this day, is the 1966 versions. And I actually had the privilege of meeting Adam West, Burt Ward, and Julie Newmar at a special conference way back, like, I don't know, 2009. And that was a lot of fun. In fact, I got their autographs. In fact, it's here on my shelf, right here in this book of Batman. So there's Adam West's signature right there. By the way, this is the very special novel or book that I got that includes the very first issue of Batman in Detective Comics, and that was in 1939, if I'm correct? Yes, May 1939. Okay, so here's my signature from Julie Newmar, who was Catwoman. Of course, there were 3 different Catwomen in the series, but Julie Newmar is, of course, the most famous. And if I turn the next page, this is me with her right there. I'm wearing a Batman, or excuse me, a Batmobile shirt. And last but not least, we got Burt Ward, who's still with us. I would have loved to have gotten a signature from one of the other villains, but I can't remember his name was, but he unfortunately passed away. So, yeah. Oh, Frank Gorshin, that's what I'm thinking of. Even though we may have lost Adam West, we actually got a very cool series of comics from DC that were a good dedication to the 1966 series. It was Batman 66, and my God, I can't tell you how excited I was when I saw the first issue, and I was hooked instantly. Also, this is something we never got a chance to see later on, because in the 70s they brought in Wonder Woman, so in this really interesting crossover, they had a special series of 6 comics called Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77. I mean, this was a brilliant idea. One more thing before I completely forget. I actually got the chance to see several of the Batmobiles, including getting to ride in one of them. Absolutely no joke. Here's a couple of photos from you. As you can see, I'm in front of the George Barris Custom Car Studio out in Hollywood. And yes, that is me with the 1966 Batmobile. As the guy was pulling it into the garage, he asked me to hop into the Robin seat. And guess what? I got to ride in the 1966 Batmobile. And what an honor, because in that seat, of course, was the Robin, Burt Ward, when he was filming the show. And just to think that he sat in the seat that I was in, I mean, it's just so cool. And that was quite an honor. I still get goosebumps when I think about it, because it was just a cool moment to remember. So yes, as you can probably guess, I am a huge Batman fan. I have over 200 issues of comics, not to mention a whole bunch of graphic novels. Again, he doesn't have any special powers. He doesn't really need them, although he kind of cheated a little bit in a couple of issues and maybe in a few of the TV episodes where he used Green Lantern's ring or used a special type of serum to fight against Superman. But still, Batman's cool. He's unique. That's why I enjoy him so much. And yeah, that's why I enjoy Batman. Okay, it's time to switch gears and talk about my other favorite comic book character. This time he's from Marvel. Gee, I wonder who that could be. Yep, that's right. My other favorite comic book hero is Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man is another one of my favorite comic book characters. Bam! There it is, right there. Spider-Man, issue number 1, right there. He's, again, unique because he has special spider powers. Now, when we think of spiders, we think of Arachnophobia or Tarantula, the movie, or really just the mean nastiness. But with Spider-Man, it's kind of cool, right? I know that when people think of Spider-Man, they think, oh, he's the guy that shoots webs and fights villains, right? Well, it's not just that. I mean, yeah, he does all that, but he also can climb walls. He has a special spider sense because that helps him, like, in case somebody is going to attack him. It's basically like, hey, Spider-Man, look out, someone's behind you. Much like Batman, he's also a scientist. I forgot to mention this, but Batman can also be a bit of a scientist, along with his detective skills, because he has to create his gadgets. Well, Spider-Man does too, because he created his own web shooters, he created his own suit. Okay, I gotta take this thing off because I'm probably mumbling, and you probably can't understand me, so... Ugh. Yes, that was me underneath that mask the entire time. Much like Batman, Spider-Man has fought a lot of different villains. Crazy villains, I mean. Like the Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, the Chameleon, Electro, Kraven the Hunter, Mysterio, Scorpion, Venom, Carnage. There's so many different characters, and even characters that aren't really Spider-Man villains, like Doctor Doom, Thanos. I think he's fought against Magneto a couple of times if he's ever teamed up with the X-Men. It was around the time when they were going to be releasing the very first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. I think that's when I first started liking Spider-Man, and I got interested in reading the comics. And speaking of comics, this happens to be my very first Spider-Man comic book. Now, fun fact, I didn't get this from a comic shop. No, I didn't steal it, and no, this wasn't a gift. I actually got this with an action figure. So you can see, he's fine up here with the arms and all, but if we look down here, yeah, he's doing the twist. And he's very, very weak on his legs. Oh wow, look at that, he's actually standing up. That's a shock, because a lot of times when I've done this, he will fall immediately, like that. But in all honesty, yes, I did see all of the Marvel movies of Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire movies, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. I saw the first 2 in the movie theaters. I didn't get to see the third one in the theaters because I think my folks didn't want to see it, but I saw it later on as a DVD. I thought it was interesting. There were parts of it I was like, oh boy, kind of cringeworthy, but it was still an interesting movie, an interesting take on the Venom suit as well as Venom. And I did see the Andrew Garfield movies, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. A lot of people didn't like those. I wasn't particularly fond of the costume choice for the very first Amazing Spider-Man movie, so yeah. Like, I can understand that he was just starting out with his suit, but it looked really weird. I thought the yellow eyes were kind of stupid in my opinion. Before I completely forget, check this out. This is the 800th issue of the Amazing Spider-Man. Issue 800. That's quite a milestone. As you all know, very soon here, we're going to be getting the 1000th issue of Batman Detective Comics. And that is going to be a huge milestone. And not too long ago, we just celebrated the 1000th issue of Superman Action Comics. So, I mean, it's just incredible. Oh, this was released, by the way, in July of 2018. So this was last year. So, yeah, another huge milestone for Marvel. But not too long ago, we also celebrated the 400th issue of Doctor Strange. I have that issue. At some point, I'm actually going to go through my comics and show you guys some really cool ones that commemorate or are milestones for each character. But this is a really good one right here. So there you go. Those are my two favorite characters from Marvel and DC. I hope you guys found this video interesting. I'm pretty sure some of you have favorite characters. Maybe you like Batman, maybe you don't like Batman, maybe some of you like Spider-Man or don't like Spider-Man. It really doesn't matter because they're both unique and you love them or hate them, but I enjoy these characters a lot, and they've been coming out with amazing comics, and they had a lot of good milestones with each of these characters, so I'm looking forward to their futures, and that's pretty much it. Before we go, let's go ahead and check out this week's comics. There's quite a few, so let's go ahead and check them out right now. By the way, I got all these from Things in the World at Universal City Walk. Let's start off with the Terminator Sector War from Dark Horse Comics. This is issue 3 of 4. This is supposed to take place during the same time as the T-800 is sent to kill Sarah Connor. Now, it's a very similar story, but in this case, instead of him fighting or trying to kill a waitress, he's trying to kill a cop who's actually pregnant with a different character that's supposed to help out in the resistance against the Terminators. This is an interesting series. I really recommend this one if you like the Terminator. It's different, but it is also fun to read. Go and check this one out. It is really good. Moving on to the DC Universe, we have The Flash, issue 64. This is the Batman-Flash crossover event that's been happening with DC recently. We have The Price of Innocence, Part 2. Then directly behind that one, we have Batman 65, The Price of Vengeance, Part 3. Now, I don't get that many issues of Nightwing, but if it involves Joker, then heck yeah. This is kind of a graphic cover, I will admit, because that's supposed to be the Joker's face. Pray for the Joker's Daughter, Nightwing, issue 57. This is kind of a creepy one. Go and check this one out. We'll move on to the Marvel Universe in just a second, but right now, it's Morphin' Time! Go-Go Power Rangers, issue number 17. This is the different Power Rangers comics besides the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers they have. It's by Boom Studios. It's an interesting one, but I actually enjoy the Mighty Morphin versions better. And they have one that's going beyond the grid. Recently they did Shatter Grid, now they're doing Beyond the Grid. Again, this is issue number 17. Very interesting series. Time to head to the Marvel Universe and check out Return of Wolverine, issue 5. As you all know, they killed off Wolverine, Death of Wolverine a while back, and they introduced a clone version, a different clone version of Wolverine, which was the Wolverine all new Wolverine, and now they brought him back from the dead. Return of Wolverine. Interesting series. Go and check it out. Here we go with the Star Wars stuff. We got Solo, a Star Wars story, issue number 5. This is continuing from issue 4. This is basically a comic book version of the script, basically, and also the movie. This is actually a lot of fun. I've actually been enjoying this a lot more than the movie because they add a few things here, plus they add more context to the comic book than they do in the movie. So if you're having like questions about how certain things happen in the movie that didn't really explain very well, check out the comic book versions. If you don't have any of the issues, don't worry, because I'm sure they'll bring out a graphic novel, but still, this is fun to read. I also have the comic versions of The Last Jedi and Rogue One. Very, very cool series. I highly recommend them. Now, this one I thought was funny because, yes, it is Star Wars. It's Star Wars Adventures number 18, but it's not done by Marvel. It's done by IDW and Disney. Yeah, Disney owns Marvel, but why is IDW doing this? You know, it's interesting because IDW also released an issue of Spider-Man. Yeah. What's going on there? I don't know. But anyways, yes, Star Wars Adventures number 18. And yes, that's Mr. Jaja Binks. And last but not least, we have a graphic novel. This is Mr. Miracle, one of the characters that was created by Jack Kirby for DC Comics, along with new gods like Orion and Apocalypse and OMAC and Jimmy Olsen, a bunch of other characters. But this is Mr. Miracle. This actually first started when they had the 100th anniversary of Jack Kirby's birthday. So this is a really cool series. If you haven't seen any of the comics, go and check them out. I do have some of the single issues, but not all of them. So when they finally released this, I was like, yes, I'm adding this to my collection of graphic novels on the shelf. Had to get this one because this was a really good series. As they say here, by far the best comic on the stands. That's debatable. That's from Entertainment Weekly. Eisner Award winner, best writer and artist. And it is a good series, lots of good art. It might be a little mature in some cases, but it's definitely worth the read. Go and check this one out. Mr. Miracle, originally created by Jack Kirby. Well, that about does it for this issue of the Comic Corner. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up button. It is greatly appreciated. Be sure to check out my other episodes of this series as well as my other channels. The Educational Series, the Disneyland Video Series, and the Travel Town Series. I'm also on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I have a P.O. Box. If you guys want to send me viewer mail, P.O. Box address and links are down below in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And seeing as they say in Hollywood, that, my friends, is a wrap.